You think rush hour is a nightmare? You've probably never driven on these roads. They're so dangerous that a traffic jam starts to feel much more pleasant. Some cling to steep cliffs over rivers that could wash you away in a second. Other roads cross a rough ocean where strong waves constantly hit anyone who passes. And then there are roads that seem to disappear from sight, blending into the endless, empty desert. Every turn is a life or death choice. Go forward or stop. Right now, buckle up and join me as we explore the most dangerous roads in the world, where they challenge the courage of drivers. You grip the steering wheel, your palms are sweaty, and can't take your eyes off the road for a second, because right next to your tire is a deep drop. You are facing the deadly Kishtwar-Killar Road in India. In front of you is just a thin strip of dirt, narrow enough for only one vehicle to pass. On the right is a huge limestone cliff, like a wall of death. If you're faint of heart, you should avoid it on windy days. On the left is open space that makes your stomach turn when you glance down. If you turn the wheel just a little bit, you'll disappear from the earth in a second. The road surface is bumpy with loose gravel, and the bottom of the car constantly scrapes, making a grinding sound. When you enter sharp turns, your view is completely blocked by jutting rocks, forcing you to trust your gut and your heart, which beats wildly with every vibration of the engine. Just 1 second of distraction can turn your journey into a legend in the most painful way. Treacherous roads always hold a strange allure for explorers. The Atlantic Ocean Road has become an unmissable legend in Norway. This road, just over 5.5 miles long, connects the towns of Kristiansund and Molde. It consists of 8 winding bridges that cross the sea, famous for a perspective that makes it look like it's broken in mid-air. But that's just an illusion. It's haunting for another reason. Before you, the bridge deck is low, close to the sea level, with nothing on either side but the cold ocean. Strong crosswinds hit you constantly, so hard that the car sways every time you cross a curved span. You have to grip the steering wheel tightly, your eyes glued to the road, because the car could be blown off course at any moment. When a storm hits, rain and sea spray block your vision. Waves crash hard against the side of the bridge and sometimes even spill onto the slippery road surface. You can feel the wind crushing your car to pieces, as if the whole bridge is breathing with the rage of the sea. You definitely don't want to be crossing in a situation like this. When you first drive on the $1 Million Highway, a 25-mile section of Highway 550 in Colorado, your reaction isn't curiosity, but shock. The road clings to the side of a mountain at an elevation of over 11,000 feet, with a steep cliff on one side and a deep drop right next to the wheels on the other. After just the first few turns, your adrenaline spikes and your heart starts to pound. There are no guardrails, no shoulder, just open space, and the ground seems to disappear. That feeling of being on the edge lasts for over 10 endless miles, giving you goosebumps and making you grip the steering wheel until your knuckles turn white. Death is staring at you from one wrong turn of the wheel, which would send you flying off the edge, crashing onto the broken rocks, and then falling into the cold Uncompahgre River. About 40 accidents still happen on this road every year. Many drivers get so scared they have to stop in the middle of the road because they don't have the courage to continue. Would you dare to pay $1 million just to see the snow-covered peaks of the Rocky Mountains? You are driving on the Transfagarasan Highway, a military road through the mountains built in the 1970s, crossing the Fagarash Mountains. In front of you are nearly 90 kilometers of mountain pass at an altitude of over 2,000 meters, where every turn can be a challenge. This route has dozens of hairpin turns and switchbacks one after another, so many you can't count them. Your palms are soaked with sweat from holding the steering wheel tightly, constantly shifting gears and braking on the winding, twisting sections that look like a giant intestine. Many sections have almost no guardrails, making every meter you drive both thrilling and terrifying. If you just glance to the side, you'll see the steep drop waiting below. On the road, you might see wild brown bears standing on the roadside, asking for food from passing cars. And also flocks of sheep herded by shepherds, blocking the entire road and leaving you no room to pass or swerve. Laval Road is the rocky balcony of the Vercors region in France, carved straight into the cliffside in the 19th century. It opens up to a majestic view of the Royane Valley. Over 4 kilometers long, this stone monster has a feature that terrifies even the bravest drivers: sharp hairpin turns and dizzying switchbacks. Here, you can see straight down into the abyss, and the guardrails are very low. The screeching sound of tires on the rough road surface and the feeling of taking a turn will make your brain scream about a free fall. Many sections are steep and so narrow that 2 cars have a hard time passing each other. The risk of rockfall is always present, as there is almost no place to pull over. Your view will constantly change from the bright landscape outside to the darkness of a tunnel. The road is usually open year-round, but bad weather can cause it to close at any time and make the journey extremely dangerous. When mentioned Hawaii, you think of beaches and beautiful sunset. But in the northwest of Maui, something completely different is waiting for you. Hidden in the shadow of the famous road to Hana, the Kahekili Highway is a 21-mile, one-lane road that makes you feel like you're driving on the line between life and death. On the left is a steep cliff, and on the right is an edge that drops straight into the Pacific Ocean. The sound of tires screeching as you take tight winding turns at less than 15 miles per hour mixes with the sound of the car's body shaking every time the sea wind hits its side. One lane appear constantly, forcing you to yield to oncoming traffic right on the edge of the cliff. Just a moment of lost concentration can lead to serious consequences. Because of this danger, not many people dare to explore this road. In the middle of the picturesque scenery, the feeling of meeting an oncoming car on the narrow cliff edge sends your adrenaline soaring. Hold the steering wheel tight and look up to count. 1, 2, 3, 18 winding turns stacked like the letter Z on a steep cliff, all in just 450 meters. Welcome to Lingpaishi Road, one of the craziest roads and a tough test for both your nerves and driving skills. Each hairpin turn has turning points that are only 20 to 30 meters apart, which is breathtakingly short. The first 6 turns, with angles up to 70 degrees, will make your hair stand on end. Your fear instinct kicks in, and it feels like the whole world is spinning, with the car suspended between the cold cliff walls. To get through it, you need precise throttle control, steering that is accurate to the centimeter, and absolute focus. The reward for your courage will be the spectacular view from the top. The difficult terrain makes this place a driver's nightmare. But behind its scary appearance is an incredible story. Local people spent 18 long years carving the rock to open a road to connect with schools, hospitals, and the outside world. You're driving on the Karakoram Highway, a route over 800 miles long connecting Pakistan and China. Cutting through some of the most majestic cliffs on the planet. This road runs alongside glaciers and treacherous rocky mountains and is frequently affected by earthquakes and sudden avalanches. Just one heavy rain can cause tons of rock to crash down onto the road in an instant. Many stretches of the road are located in desolate mountains for dozens of miles, with almost no rescue stations or residential areas. If your car breaks down, you have to fend for yourself in harsh weather conditions and the thin air at an altitude of over 13,000 feet. Even more terrifying are the narrow sections of road, perched precariously right beside a cliff edge. The sense of fear and pressure follows you throughout the entire journey along this dangerous route. In Tianmen Mountain National Park, Hunan, China, a narrow road winds up the cliffs like a white ribbon cutting through endless green. Even high-performance cars, like Ferraris and Range Rovers, must struggle through its steep climb. This is Tianmen Mountain Road, the famed 99 Bend Road. In the quiet stillness of untouched mountains and forests, you sit inside a vehicle shaken by constant vibrations. Ahead lie 99 narrow, tightly wound U-shaped bends, twisting endlessly like the body of a giant serpent clinging to the cliffside. Thick fog swallows your vision, and the sound of the mountain wind howls through the car window. If you brake incorrectly while going downhill, the car could lose control and plunge straight into the ravine. The margin between safety and disaster is measured in fractions of a second. In 2018, a Range Rover broke the record with 9 minutes and 51 seconds. What about the tourist bus you're on? The driver repeats this journey about 10 times a day, familiar with that danger. Some roads aren't made for travel, but for challenges. The Himalayan roads in Nepal are exactly that. Sitting in a bouncing jeep, you don't feel excitement, but a bone-chilling fear. This road, which looks like a clumsy, thin line clinging to the side of a steep, sharp rock mountain, is ready to take down anyone who dares. There are no barriers between you and the rushing stream below. Only the crumbling edge of the earth, slowly giving way to gravity. The vehicle shakes violently as its wheels grind over the rough, rocky surface. The engine roars like a desperate attempt to hold onto a road so narrow it's just wide enough for one vehicle. Your heart feels like it stops, and the blood in your veins runs cold every time the car takes a sharp turn, with half the vehicle hanging over the edge. Amidst this overwhelming fear, you are still stunned by the wild, majestic beauty of the Himalayas. The feeling of conquering this road, standing between the vast earth and sky, is truly a priceless experience. You are standing at the entrance to Taroko Gorge in Taiwan, where 450 people died to build this road. And when you drive through here, you will understand why it's considered one of the scariest roads in the world. Your heart races, hands gripping the steering wheel tightly as the vehicle passes marble cliffs, jutting out like they are ready to swallow everything in their path. Your eyes stay locked on the road ahead, because even a moment's distraction could send the car crashing into the guardrail and plunging into the river below. Do you feel the car shaking violently? It's not an illusion, but an earthquake in this unstable geological area. On April 3, 2024, an earthquake over 7.0 magnitude caused rocks and dirt to collapse, burying the road in just a few dozen seconds. If you were a moment slower, you could have been trapped under thousands of tons of rock. The road is constantly destroyed by nature, then repaired and reopened, because it is the only route connecting the two coasts of Taiwan through the center of the island. Trollstigen is one of Norway's most famous tourist routes, connecting Åndalsnes and Valldal with winding turns set against majestic rocky mountains. Look right under your wheels. A grade of about 10% drops straight ahead, waiting to swallow you. The engine roars and the gearbox, constantly working, heats up. 11 consecutive hairpin turns twist brutally on a lane so narrow 2 cars can barely pass. You hold your breath because right next to you is a sheer cliff and a deadly abyss like a monster with its mouth wide open. The eerie silence is broken only by the sound of the engine and the feeling of being tiny amidst the pristine, majestic mountains. You also have to time your trip perfectly to avoid moments when the angry mountains hurl rocks at your car. In 2024, 6 rockfalls were recorded in just 10 days. The risk of being hit by falling rocks was so high that authorities decided to close the road until safety measures could be implemented. You enter the Canning Stock Route, an off-road track over 1,100 miles long, crossing 3 deserts in Western Australia. Don't look for asphalt, because beneath you is only scorching red sand and over 1,000 towering sand dunes, ready to swallow up weak vehicles. The air is as hot as an oven, filling your lungs, dry and full of dust. You will face a suffocating solitude. The only living things you might see are wild camels or reptiles. If your vehicle breaks down among these vast dunes, you officially become a desert ghost, because the nearest gas station might be 1,000 kilometers away. The threat comes not only from the temperature, but also from the terrain. The corrugated sections of the road will shake your vehicle with terrifying frequency, loosening every nut and bolt and destroying. Your only water source is old wells from the last century, many of which are dry or contaminated, forcing you to conserve every precious drop. They call this place the Widowmaker. In just 4 years, it recorded 44 serious accidents. This is Cat and Fiddle Road, a roughly 7.5-mile road crossing the wild moorlands of Peak District National Park at an altitude of about 1,690 feet. Hidden behind its breathtaking beauty is a series of deadly hazards, a succession of sharp turns, constantly changing elevations, and stone walls on both sides with no escape shoulder. The moorland fog can wipe out your visibility in seconds, while strong winds are powerful enough to make cars swerve. In winter, the slippery road surface further increases the risk of accidents. Motorcycles make up only 2% of the traffic, but account for 75% of the victims, as it has long been an unofficial racetrack. Motorcycles fly out of blind corners into oncoming traffic at 100 miles per hour. This is why it's one of the UK's traffic black spots. If you've ever been on the Cat and Fiddle, share what you were driving and in what season. Do you think it deserves to be one of the most dangerous roads in the UK? If it's your first time behind the wheel in Skipper's Canyon, you'll probably hold your breath more than you drive. This 22-kilometer road was carved straight into a steep cliff in New Zealand over 140 years ago. It's not for the faint of heart. It is narrow, bumpy, and has almost no room for error. Below, the Shotover River roars like a blue monster, ready to swallow any idea of safety. Driving on that road requires intense focus. because it's full of sharp turns that will definitely make you sweat and your hair stand on end. You have to be extremely careful because you could crash into a car around a hidden curve, as the road is very winding. While the loose gravel makes it easy for your wheels to slide off track. Most rental car insurance policies in New Zealand are not valid on this road. The scenery is amazing, but driving on it is not recommended unless you are very experienced with difficult terrain. Do you have the courage to conquer one of the loneliest and harshest roads in the world, where the raw beauty of the Arctic meets a grueling challenge? This is the Dalton Highway, about 400 miles long, crossing the Yukon River and remote forests. Ahead of you is an Alaskan nightmare, where the bone-chilling cold envelops you. The snow-laden wind howls, leaving you alone in the wilderness with whiteout visibility. The vehicle bounces on a road full of rocks and mud mixed with chemicals as slick as grease. Ready to throw you into a deep ravine in a moment of carelessness. You look in your rearview mirror and see no one. You look at your phone, and the signal bars disappeared hundreds of miles ago. You are completely alone in this 240-mile-long ice trap, where temperatures can plummet to minus 76 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to freeze the oil in your car. There are no gas stations or other basic services. If your car dies, death will find you before any rescue team can receive a distress signal from this void. Your GPS thinks driving on this road is a good idea. Maybe it's time to buy a new one. For almost a century, only wooden planks groaning in the strong wind separated life from the abyss here. It took villagers over 15 years to carve this road by hand to create a path to the outside world. Wuxi Cliff Road is a thin 1.2-kilometer strip of concrete hanging on a cliff in southwest China. You drive with a steep cliff on one side and a nearly 3,000-foot drop on the other. Just looking down is enough to make your palms turn cold. The road is narrow, has a steep grade of up to 22.9%, and has 18 hairpin turns so tight you can't make them in one go, requiring absolute caution. In some parts, the cliff juts out close to the front of your car, forcing car to crawl forward meter by meter. When it rains, fog covers the road, turning an already dangerous journey into a real mental challenge. However, the trip offers a stunning view of the Lanying Grand Canyon, the deepest canyon in Chongqing. The Sichuan-Tibet Highway in China is a 1,367-mile route that crosses steep mountain passes and deep valleys heading towards the rooftop of the world, the Himalayas. At an altitude of about 16,400 feet, everything becomes different. You and your companion have to take turns driving, because every mile demands absolute alertness before each hidden curve. The cliffs are so sheer, you have to lean your head out the window just to see the top. The road is just one lane wide, pressed against the edge of a cliff or hugging the mountainside, making every turn of the wheel a calculated move. The higher you go, the more unstable the road becomes. A single downpour can cause landslides, with rocks and mud pouring down unexpectedly. Fog can roll in within seconds, completely wiping out your visibility. You're left to follow the faint road markings, tensing up as you drive along them. When the car enters a mountain tunnel, the light disappears. All that's left is the sound of the engine echoing in the cold, damp space, as if swallowed by the mountain rock. The feeling of isolation becomes more palpable than ever. Returning to India, the next destination on the list is the hauntingly named Killar to Pangi Road. This road, about 70 miles long, reaches a maximum elevation of 8,200 feet and has absolutely no guardrails on either side, forcing you to not let your guard down for even a second. What's incredible is that this road still exists. Despite being extremely dangerous, it's only open in the summer, is completely unpaved, forcing you to move slowly over potholes and large rocks that have been there for years. There's a particularly dangerous 6-mile stretch with an overhanging cliff that looks like it could collapse at any moment. Built hundreds of years ago by local people and barely maintained, the Killar to Pangi Road is just wide enough for a single jeep to pass. One small mistake could send the vehicle plunging straight down a cliff thousands of feet deep. Imagine you're standing in front of a cliff that's almost 90 degrees steep, so high that clouds float by at eye level. And on that giant wall, more than 2,000 villagers carved a narrow path with their own hands, just wide enough for a small car to squeeze through. That's Shibanhe Cliff Road in Guizhou Province, China. The road connects two remote residential areas. The 470-meter-long road is almost as long as 5 football fields, but is only 4.5 meters wide. Large trucks? Absolutely impossible. Even a pickup truck requires a driver with nerves of steel. Driving on it, you will feel how fragile it is, so much so that it's hard to believe it's real. But it's solid enough that you can't deny its existence. No room to make a mistake. Fear lingers each time you peer through the railings into the unfathomable below. Standing at the entrance, your survival instinct just wants to scream, turn back. But if you're brave enough to go on, you'll experience one of the scariest cliff-hanging roads in the world. Entering Irohazaka is like stepping into an insane loop. You have to face 48 180-degree turns in a short distance, with 20 going up and 28 coming down, each marked with a character from the ancient Iroha poem. Imagine the pressure on your brake system, with an average grade of up to 15 to 20%. Your brake pads will heat up to over 570 degrees Fahrenheit after just 10 minutes of descent. If you don't know engine braking techniques, the brake fluid can boil, and you'll lose control right at the 20th turn. In the narrowest sections, the road is only about 11.5 feet wide, while your car takes up nearly 6.5 feet, leaving only a few centimeters for error. Once a path for ancient monks, Irohazaka is now a famous challenge route, associated with initial D and a legend in Japanese car culture. You are standing in one of the most tense border regions in the world. Zuluk Zigzag Road, or Pulbulaya, is located on the ancient Silk Road, just a few kilometers from the Chinese border. People call this the most dizzying road in the world, and that's not an exaggeration. Looking down from Thambi viewpoint, you see a giant maze carved into the mountainside, 3 overlapping layers of road, twisting like a nest of snakes. More than 100 turns in 30 kilometers continuously appear and disappear, and you can't see the other side. The road is so narrow that 2 cars can't pass each other, forcing one to reverse in breathtaking tension. Snow, landslides, and slippery terrain make this place always risky. Although it has been closed since 2012, this road is a legend of Sikkim. People come here to test their nerves and feel alive. If you think you've tasted harshness, try driving on the Pamir Highway in Afghanistan. Imagine you're behind the wheel at an altitude of 15,272 feet on the Akbaytal Pass. The air is so thin that oxygen levels are about half, making you dizzy from altitude sickness, yet you must maintain absolute focus. Beneath your wheels is a dirt and rock surface ravaged by landslides. On one side is a sheer cliff. On the other, a deep, rocky abyss with no guardrails for protection. Our heart pounds. Your hands grip the steering wheel as the car enters hairpin turns with blind corners. Just a small miscalculation in steering could lead to losing control and plunging into the deep abyss below. And it doesn't stop there. The risk of rockfalls is ever present along the journey, making every foot of travel a tense and risky challenge. The Hana Highway, also known as the Road to Hana, is about 64.4 miles long, connecting Kahului to the town of Hana on the eastern side of Maui, Hawaii. Although the distance as the crow flies is only about 52 miles, the drive takes 2.5 to 4 hours due to the extremely winding, narrow terrain with 620 curves and 59 narrow bridges. There are no streetlights on the way to Hana. Therefore, the chance of an accident increases significantly, especially if you drive in the early morning or late at night. When the road is empty, it's easy to fall into a trap and drive faster, leading to a loss of speed control. Additionally, this area has a risk of flash floods when hiking or stopping to explore waterfalls and streams. Water can rise quickly and unexpectedly, leaving you stranded and unable to return to the main road. You might think you're in paradise when you set foot on the road to Hana, but this is a route that demands absolute caution. In southwestern Uganda, there's a road where the ground beneath it won't stay still. The 88.5-kilometer Kabale-Kizoro Road passes through the Kigezi Hills, the Switzerland of Africa, climbing from about 1,200 meters to nearly 2,700 meters before dropping steeply towards the Congo border. On one side is a hillside, and on the other is a slope with no guardrails. On May 4th, 2023, a crack appeared in the village of Bwara, and in a short time, an entire section of the road slid down the hillside with mud, completely paralyzing traffic. But landslides are not the only danger. Kanaba Corner is the most notorious turn on this route, located right after a long downhill stretch, long enough for trucks and buses to lose their brakes. Even so, many tourists are willing to pay around $800 to travel on this road, just to see the last remaining mountain gorillas on Earth. The roads in the Far East are always a challenge for drivers. The Kolyma Highway in Siberia, Russia, is known as the coldest road in the world, stretching 1,262 miles. It's also called the Road of Bones, due to its tragic history of being built by hundreds of thousands of prisoners in the past. Here, the cold from the ice feels like the breath of death. The temperature can drop to a record minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Your tires become brittle and can pop if they hit a rock. You break out in a sweat. Because if the car's engine dies for just 10 minutes, you will freeze to death instantly. Your heart is pounding as you drive through snow-covered roads. The path is so blurry that you can only see about 2 meters ahead. The car keeps moving through the eerie silence of the taiga forest, and you have no idea what is waiting up ahead. The BR 116 Highway, also known as the Highway of Death, is over 2,725 miles long, connecting Fortaleza to Jaguarão. And is considered one of Brazil's most dangerous roads due to harsh conditions, heavy traffic, and a high accident rate. Many sections of the road are deteriorated with potholes, uneven surfaces, and a lack of signs, making driving dangerous, especially in bad weather. The heavy volume of trucks and buses also increases the risk of collisions on narrow, winding sections. The road takes you through various terrains, from plains to mountainous areas, with sharp turns, steep inclines, and where fog and strong winds can appear suddenly, severely reducing visibility. Robberies and cargo thefts targeting trucks also make the journey on BR 116 always fraught with a sense of insecurity and danger. You're driving a vehicle across an ash plain at an altitude of over 14,700 feet. Ahead is the Cotopaxi volcano, a giant that is still actively simmering in Ecuador, where even a small tremor can trigger volcanic mudflows or lahars. To rush down the mountainside. The wheels grind on the eroded, gravelly road, flanked by steep slopes that drop into deep abysses. The wind howls outside, while the car shakes violently over every pothole, the tires occasionally slipping on the wet gravel as you take a turn. At an altitude of nearly 15,000 feet, the thin air makes the engine roar louder than usual, and you start to feel a headache and shortness of breath as the oxygen level decreases with every foot of elevation. But the most dangerous thing is that you're driving on the flank of one of the world's most dangerous active volcanoes, where a single eruption could turn the entire road into a deadly mudflow in just a few minutes. The Dutch once called this headland de Vuile Hoek, the foul point, because so many ships ran aground and sank among the sharp coral reefs and violent seas. To this day, the coastal road here remains just as dangerous. The North Coast Road runs along the northern coast of Mauritius, winding between the Blue Sea and Rocky Mountains, with a narrow surface and many sections without guardrails. Sharp, blind corners make it difficult to guess if an oncoming car is approaching, especially at night when lighting and signs are very limited. Strong sea winds and a rough road surface make controlling the vehicle more difficult, especially in heavy rain or bad weather. Just a small mistake could cause the car to crash into the cliff or plunge into the sea. With a traffic accident rate much higher than other areas, especially for pedestrians, this coastal road on the island always demands absolute concentration. The Luxor-Hurghada Road, about 188 miles long, connects Luxor on the Nile River with Hurghada on the Red Sea. And it's one of those roads that makes you cautious, for one unique reason. Turning off your headlights in the dark of night is a choice for survival. You're speeding on a flat strip of asphalt through the vast desert, but don't let its peaceful appearance fool you. You have to grip the steering wheel, straining your eyes into the pitch-black void, because drivers believe that turning on their lights will blind them and make them more likely to crash into each other. You're playing Russian roulette with your life, where giant iron masses weighing tens of tons hurtle towards you at terrifying speeds. Combined with the sand kicked up by the desert wind, you might not see any obstacles until they are right in front of you and it's too late to brake. But driving with your lights on is even more dangerous. Bandits hide in the darkness, and your lights are what point them to you. If a stranger waves you down for help, keep driving. Don't try to be a hero on this road. There are roads that are not just destinations, but journeys of courage. From precarious cliffside paths and harsh deserts to treacherous coastal routes, each one reminds us that a single moment of inattention can come at a very high price. Although every road holds danger, for those who love exploration and a sense of adventure, they have an irresistible pull. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to continue joining us on our next adventures.